It was a tornado of excitement in Kansas this weekend, and don't worry, there wasn't an actual tornado, but I had to make a little Wizard of Oz joke there. But we're going to start this week off with something a little bit different. Let me introduce you to the Valley Star 300 late model race at Martinsville. Now, late model stock cars are the bread and butter of the general racing world outside of NASCAR. These are the cars you'll see at local short tracks on Saturday nights, competing for regional and national championships. Now, this race is essentially their Daytona 500. They had a total of 79 different cars show up to attempt the 40-car field. This is a big money race. It usually bookends the championship for a lot of guys, and it's always a fantastic show. They had 3 separate heat races plus a 25-lap last qualifier to set up for the main last 200-lap event. And this race has been around for a long time. The first event was officially 1970, although the current format wasn't until about 1985 thereabouts. And immediately after taking the green flag, there was a massive pileup before half the field had even reached the start-finish line. Complete and utter mess, but that's just late model racing. And the racing was hard and intense all night long. And then, of course, it all had to lead to a green-white checkered finish at the very end, with Landon Pimpleton in the 0 car beating out Lee Pullum by mere inches at the finish line for his second grandfather clock. Congratulations to Landon on that big win. But now from the local short track guys to the big NASCAR boys, we are at Kansas Speedway this weekend, and we're going to start the action Friday night with the ARCA Menard Series. And the big man himself, Butterbean Queen, is sitting on the pole for the second to last race of the season. But Gio Ruggiero in that 18 car takes the lead by the time they get to the finish line on lap 1. But cautions and pit stops are going to be plaguing the race all night long. It does allow Brandon to get the lead back at the halfway point of the race. That's usually when they have their big stage break. Ruggiero does take the lead on the restart with Corey Day in the 77 car in second. And they pretty much lead the way for most of the remainder of the race, but unfortunately with mere 20 laps to go, Day blows an oil line is what they believe was the problem here, and it completely ends his strong run for the night. On the following restart though, Butterbean gets a massive push from Mason Mitchell in that 25 car and scoots away, but a caution comes out quickly after he takes the white flag. And by ARCA rules, the final lap must be run under green. So we have a 1-lap shootout here. And Butterbean gets the restart he needs. He clears himself, but there is another spin and another restart is set up. But Butterbean refuses to lose. Same song and dance in take number 2. He wins his 8th win of the season. And that does effectively also book in the championship as well. Butterbean has a 85-point lead over LeVar Scott in the standings. So next week at Toledo, which is their final race of the season, all he has to do is start the race and he's the national champion. Don't know exactly what his plans are for next year, but with a couple Xfinity rides he's been doing lately, he may have a full-time ride in NASCAR before too long, but we'll see. But congratulations to Brandon on an amazing season. Saturday, Xfinity Series, and the JGR Toyotas came back to play. We've got Brandon Jones of the 20 car sitting on pole alongside his JGR teammate Taylor Gray in the 54 car. And they get away pretty quickly on the start, but defending champion Justin Allgaier takes the lead on the green flag run and wins the first stage. And he does take the lead again on the restart of stage 2, and he's got a tight leash on the race and wins stage number 2 as well after more green flag racing. Not a ton of cautions and incidents, but don't worry, that might change before too long. So the 7 car wins both stages, but unfortunately the pit crew slips up on the stops, and it hands the lead back to Brandon Jones. But on the restart, he himself loses the lead to Connor Zilic in the 88. Oh boy, yes, you're right, Connor Zilic is back up front. But Zilic cannot get away from Brandon this time, and these two battle hard for the entire rest of this race. Zilic and Brandon battle each other hard for the lead as the green flag run starts creating a strategy scenario, because tires have become a very important piece to the puzzle this weekend. The pressure tires always have an advantage, and it is becoming a little bit of a gamble if you want to take 2 tires or even stay out, because track position is also very important on these aero-sensitive racetracks. But a late caution sees some crazy pit strategy that we had just talked about. Several people stay out, including Justin Allgaier, and they create an absolute logjam on the restart as Allgaier tries and fails to defend his lead from falling to Brandon Jones. But now it's Brandon and the number 88 back up front again, battling for the lead. But Brandon does have the better long run setup and starts to pull away and ends up pulling away all the way towards the checkered flag, taking the win over Zilich and Austin Hill. Haven't talked about him in a while. Crazy not wrecking somebody, but we'll do to your final results. And now it's for some fun extra trivia. Connor Zilich, with his second place finish here, he has earned his 16th straight top 5 finish. He has broken a record that has sat for 41 years. And next week, they are going to the Charlotte Roval, a road course, and it is no stretch of the imagination to think that he could extend that streak next week. And also, in some other cool news, Butterbean was also in this race driving the 11 car, and he finished in 9th place, got in his first career top 10 finish in the Xfinity Series. So that was a great way to cap off his dominating win from Friday night. But that is all that we've got from the Xfinity Series, and now the Cup Series, Sunday. And to absolutely nobody's surprise, JGR sweeps the front row yet again. And to even more no surprises, Chase Briscoe gets his 7th pole of the season alongside Denny Hamlin. And the Toyotas coming into this race were the clear favorites to win. They've absolutely dominated this track in the 2020s. A little bit more so 2311 Racing with Bubba Wallace and Reddick, but JGR, they found something this year. And it's going to be a tough slog to see who's going to lock their way into the next round of the playoffs. But on the early go, it looks like it's going to be Denny Hamlin because he takes the lead on lap 20 from his teammate, and he just sets it in cruise control. There is no catching this guy, and even survives several pit stops and restarts to win stage number 1. In stage number 2, however, pit strategy sees Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson leading up front. But as the stage wears on, more green flag runs and pit stops, Larson starts going backwards as Denny Hamlin and now Chase Elliott start racing their way back to the front of the field. The rest of stage 2 does run green, and Hamlin does get the best of pit road and completely sweeps the stages. And it's looking to be a very dominating day on his way to his potential 60th Cup win. This is a really big major milestone for Hamlin personally. He really wants this win almost as badly as he wants a championship, because that all-time list, it's starting to spread out now. And the more you can single yourself away on that list, the more history will remember you. Stage 3 begins, same song and dance. Hamlin leaves pit road in first and holds on to the spot on the restart, leading over Christopher Bell until a caution comes out at the beginning of a potential green flag pit stop run. And on the restart, Hamlin continues to lead, but there is now a big mess right behind him. And there's a pretty sizable wreck involving both Joey Logano and Austin Cindric. Yes! Very much hurting their chances at the playoffs. They needed a really good point stay going into the Roval next week, and they are not going to get it here. Their teammate, Ryan Blaney, who won last week, doesn't have to worry about it, but these two are far from safe. Again, Denny Hamlin takes the lead on the next restart, but now he has a giant wrench thrown into everything as he has lost power steering. Now, if any of you have driven your normal road vehicles without power steering, you know it's a pain in the butt to drive. These things are 3,200-pound stock cars driving almost 200 miles an hour. They are a pain to drive as they are. And without power steering, I actually couldn't imagine. My arms are already falling off thinking about it. But he maintains his strong will over his car and holds on to the race lead for the time being. And he keeps a hold of the lead, and it's looking like he actually has a shot to win this thing, but there is a late caution for a tire out on the racetrack, and now the game is on. Pit stops here shake up the entire field as several teams elect for just 2 tires and completely jump the leaders. We've got like 6 or 7 cars in front of Denny Hamlin on the next restart, handing the lead back to Christopher Bell, but now Bubba Wallace in that 23 car is up front as well with only 9 laps to go. So Bubba and Bell, they basically keep their doors glued together for this entire restart. Nobody's getting advantage one over the other, and they stay side by side and can't settle the lead until Carson Hocevar spins out. And now we have overtime. Like, we couldn't add any more excitement to the potential ending of this race. This overtime is looking to be absolutely insane. We've got the entire top 7 in the playoffs, and each one of them are looking for a chance to lock their way into the next round. They do not want to have to worry about points next week. But the lead cannot be settled because Zane Smith in that 38 car decides to do his best Ross Chastain impression, and now we've got a second overtime finish. Don't worry, Zane is okay. He did get out of the car perfectly fine. The roll isn't as bad as it looked, but that is a wicked wall ride there. Something about 38 cars and flipping. This isn't the first time this car has done this, just so you know, by the way, just the wall ride. And it's not the second time it's happened either. But that's for later. Bubba and Bell stay side by side on this next restart again. The entire first lap, door to door, not able to settle it between them. But coming off turn 4 to take the white flag, Bubba just barely squeezes Bell into the wall and takes the lead outright. But he is quickly under threat by Denny Hamlin trying to overcome that power steering issue. And all of a sudden, come off turn 2, they are now door to door together. Hamlin on the inside, Bubba on the outside. They dive bomb it into turn 3. Hamlin actually washes it up the racetrack a bit, and both he and Bubba scuff together a bit and get into the wall, but this is enough for Chase Elliott to just stick it on the bottom lane and scoop past them both, completely stealing the win from both of them, and to the great elation of the crowd, I must say. Chase Elliott has come in and denied the dominance of the Toyotas finally, getting his second win of the season, and man, it is a rough day for Hamlin and those guys. Hamlin did get a lot of points on the day, so he's got a pretty good of a cushion next week, but Bubba Wallace is now going into the roll in essentially a must-win situation. And that's pretty much all I wrote from Kansas. It was definitely a crazy weekend once it came down to the ends of these races. There was a lot of action that happened on track for sure, and quite a few hurt feelings as well. The post-race interviews for Bubba and Hamlin especially were a little... not really casting blame at the other, because one is your boss, when the other one's your employee. But at the same time, we'll let Bubba speak for himself on this one. But that is all the action from Kansas. Oh, there was another little bit. SVG got his first career top 10 here as well. He's finally starting to figure out the ovals, and I'm telling you, I've said this for a month now. Once he starts figuring the ovals out, he's going to be absolutely dangerous next season. There is a higher than 0% chance he actually gets further than the playoffs next year than he did this year. His first round kind of sucked a little bit, and by a little bit, I mean it sucked a lot. But you got to take your rookie year as a learning experience. But that is it for NASCAR this weekend. Next week, we've got Formula One at Singapore for their GP, and NASCAR is going to be at the Charlotte Roval. I am not looking forward to doing the ride along this week. I'm pretty good at road courses, and by pretty good I mean I'm average, but it's going to be in the trucks, and that's going to be a nightmare in and of itself. And hopefully it doesn't turn into another night race. I got to figure that part out. Go watch the last ride along if you haven't yet. I'll probably put it here somewhere if I can. It was an adventure and a half. But until next time, y'all have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next week at Charlotte. Cheers.